Buenos dias, amigo. Okay, so Espanyol na tayo ngayon. So, hello everyone. Kamusta kayo? Kanina nag-record ako pero akala ko may mic ako. Ang dami ko nang nasabi. Wala pala, hindi pala nako-open. Ulitin ko na naman. Okay. So, kamusta kayo? Kamusta na ang mga outputs natin? Tapos nyo na ba? So, kung tapos nyo na, pasa nyo na. Di ba? Para ma-check ko na. Hindi ako mag-rush after. So, I know pagod na kayo sa pagsagot ng mga modules ninyo. I hope kaya pa. Kaya pa ba? Kaya nyo yan. Kaya naman. So, isa sa mga tips ko para matapos nyo yan is that set your priority. Make it your priority over TikTok. Diba? Sagot muna bago TikTok. Prioritizing things doesn't mean na hindi mo nagagawin yon. So, you just need to manage your time and your mga activities. Ano bang unahin ko? Set first. First things first. Ganun. So, ayun, you need to set your priority. You need to take it as your first activity before any other things. Okay? So, let's proceed to our discussion. We will tackle about the lesson 3 and 4 in your module 1. So, ito yung last part of the lessons in module 1. Let me start in lesson 3 entitled The Actors of Public Policy. Mabilis lang tong lesson na to kasi hindi na bago ito sa inyo as a public administration student. So, pero bagong lahat, matanong muna kita. How often do you watch a movie? Gaano ka kadalas nanonood ng Oppa or Anyong Oppa? Or should I say, gaano ka kadalas manood ng mga Korean movies? Diba? Or yung iba sa inyo, mga anime. Mahilig sa anime. Ako din, mahilig din ako sa anime. Mga Naruto. Ay, hindi naman Naruto. Mga Luffy, ganun. One Piece. O, baka naman yung iba sa inyo is yung parang tatay ko, mahilig sa movie na mga action movies. Parang yung movie ni FPJ. O kaya yung movie ni Bong Revilla. O kaya yung Dito Lapid. Diba? So, ganun yung mga hilig ng tatay ko. So, dahil doon, nahilig na rin ako. So, sa panonood mo ng paborito mong movie, sinong palagi mong nakikita? Ako ba? Joke lang. So, of course, yung mga artista, right? Kung tatanungin kita, who are the actors of that movie? Sige nga. Sino yung mga actors ng movie? Sir, yung nga mga artista. Ikaw naman. Ulit-ulit? Hindi. So, some would say, just like that, yung mga artista nga, sir, yung mga extra. Okay? Tama ka naman. But another question would come. It's something like, sila lang ba? Since sila yung nakikita mo, sila na din ba yung actors ng mga movie? You know what? Most of us depend on what we see, not on what we can see. Kung ano yung nakita mo, yun na eh. Diba? Instead, ano pa ba yung pwede mo pong makita? In the case of movies, it's not only the one who act on the screen are the actors of that movie. If you will take closely at the end of that movie, minsan kasi, pagtapos ng movie, tayuan na. Diba? O, labasan na, ganun. Yung sa last part, they are all actors of that movie. Okay? Sir, bakit naman, sir? Hindi naman sila nag-acting, ah. Bakit? It's because of their influence or abilities that makes the movie good. You are there sitting beside your popcorn enjoying that movie. Because of that influence, you are there sitting, relax. Diba? So, hindi mo nakikita yon. And this is how public policy actors define. It is not merely what you see seems to be the actors of public policy, but it is merely what you need to see as actors of public policy. You need to see uh, not only what you see, okay, but who are the other influencers of that movie. Same as public policy, you need to see the unofficial actors of it in order to understand how important are they in making a good output, in making a good movie, and in making a good public policy. Okay? So, in this lesson, we will just talk about the official and unofficial actors of public policy. So, let's start with the official actors. Hindi na to bago sa inyo. It's the three branches of the government. Since familiar na kayo dito, I know na baka master nyo na nga eh. Di ba? I have a question for you. Di ba ang gumagawa naman ng public policy is the legislative branch? Tama ba? Eh bakit kasama ba ang mga executive and judiciary? Anong kinalaman nila sa public policy? Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Meron ba? So, ayan, hindi pala yan nakikita. Okay. So, anyone? These are the three branches. Balik tayo sa question kanina. So, anong kinalaman ng executive and judicial branch sa public policy? Okay? So, this is a very simple question for you. Just remember their functions, okay? Ano bang ginagawa ng executive sa mga laws? Of course, they implement it, right? How about the judiciary? It's simply they interprets the laws. Tama ba? So, but take note, ang executive, hindi lang siya nagpapatupad ng mga batas. Pwede rin siyang gumawa ng mga batas. So, paano parang, sir, di ba executive siya? Take note na ang mga president natin is they can create executive orders, administrative orders, proclamations, memorandum orders, and circulars, including special orders. That is according to the administrative code. Okay? So, which directs the executive officers pag gumawa ang presidente ng executive orders, mga administrative orders, proclamations, it directs the executive officers of the lower clusters. Okay? So, also, the judiciary does not limit it into interpreting the laws. Hindi lang sa nag-i-interpret ng mga laws. But also, they promulgate rules concerning the protection and enforcement of constitutional rights. Yeah? So, under Article 8, Section 5 of 1987 Constitution. These are the official actors of public policy. Sila yung mga palagi mong nakikita sa TV. Sila yung mga palagi mong nakikitang nagde-debate. Diba? Pero, we will now talk about the unofficial actors of public policy. But before that, paliitin muna natin itong mukha ko dito. Baka ako yung maging actor ninyo. Alright. So, ayan. Sobrang liit. Lipat natin. Mas maganda dito. Okay. So, pwede na siguro yan. So, let's go to the unofficial actors. We have here individual citizens, interest groups, political parties, and the media. Okay? So, How come na part sila ng actors of public policy, hindi naman sila nag-recreate? Or hindi naman sila nag-i-implement? O di kaya, hindi naman sila nag-i-interpret ng laws? How come? Have you ever think that? It is because of their influence so that they become part of the actors. Ulitin natin, it is because of their influence again to the public policy so that they became a part of the actors. Just like the movie, diba? Yung mga, diba? Parang yung movie kanina. All the members of the production creates a great impact to the quality of the movie. Ganon din sa public policy. Pero, sir, paano paraan? How do they influence public policy? So, iisa-isay natin yan. How do individual citizens influence public policy? As you see, as it is reflected in the slide, it is by electing and communicating the representatives. Your representatives. Sino ba ang mga representatives ninyo? Ninyo. Okay, nabubulala ako. So, sa dati lamok na eh. Okay, sumurok tilamok. So, balik tayo dun. Sino-sino yung mga representative ninyo? Of course, yung mga congressmen, yung mga sanggunians. But it is not limited to the congressmen and sanggunians of your locality or in a certain community. But it also reflects to the representatives you are electing. Bakit? Kasi you vote for them to represent you and to solve your concerns, okay? So they can also participate, citizens can also participate in protests or rallies, right? Just to give their concerns on public policy para lang masabi nila or address nila yung mga gusto nilang sabihin kahit na anong issues, yan ginagawa nila. Na-try nyo na bang mag-rally? Mag-protest? So, subukan nyo. Ako, hindi ko pa na-try eh. So, maybe next time. Okay, so lobbying naman is an attempt of an individual. So, it is an attempt. So, pag pinaplano mo pa lang na, kunyari, pinaplano mo na baguhin yung mangyayari, yung pwedeng mangyari, yung gagawing public policy, you are doing lobbying, okay? It is an attempt of an individual or a group to influence legislation or decisions of the government. So, for example, meron tayo dyan the first quarter storms, people power revolution, and protests in Quezon City. The first quarter storm in 1970 states that local students protest. So, yung mga estudyante, nag-protest sila. Para saan? Bakit? Because of internal issues of schools. Mataas ang mga tuition, pataas ng pataas, hindi na bumababa. So, mga issues ng mga estudyante yan. So, nagkaroon ng economic inequality. Anong result ng kanilang protest? Marcos proclaimed martial law. Dahil doon sa mga economic inequality, ito, proklama ako ng martial law. Diba? That's public policy. People Power Revolution in 1986. Anong dahilan ng nagkaroon? Because of isa sa mga dahilan is the assassination of Benigno Aquino, yung presidente. Pangalawa is fraud during election. Anong naging resulta? Natanggal si Marcos. It is the end of Marcos regime. So, after ng ni Marcos, anong nangyari? Corazon Aquino becomes the president and democratic government prevails. Okay? So, yun yung naging resulta. In Quezon City, this is latest na protest. In Quezon City, last April 2020 lang. According to a report, 21 protesters ang nag-demand sa Quezon City, sa LGU ng Quezon City, dahil kulang sila sa relief goods or mga ayuda, di ba? Nag-protest sila doon sa kalsada, gitna. Tapos nag-stage protest sila doon. Ngayon, when the police tries to disperse or paalisin sila doon, dahil nga pandemic, di ba? The protesters refuse. Ayaw nila. In this case, anong nangyari? Naging violent yung mga police. Nagkaroon sila ng alitan, gulo, nagkaroon ng gulo. Kung saan, sabi ng mga protesters is that gumamit na ng mga stick yung mga police para lang itaboy sila. Dahil doon maraming nasaktan. Pero ang result, anong nangyari? Anong naging resulta ng ganang protest? Sabi ni Duterte, shoot to kill policy. Nag-proclaim siya, nag-order siya sa mga law enforcement agencies to have this kind of policy na shoot to kill policy. Pag daw naging threat na sa mga law enforcers yung mga protest na yan, o kaya naging violente na yung ibang mga tao dahil sa ayaw nilang sumunod sa mga pulis o kaya militar, at nagiging dahilan pwedeng maging dahilan ng pagkamatay ng mga law enforcers, then sabi ni Duterte, barilin mo na, diba? Shoot to kill na para sa mga troublemakers. How crucial it is, right? So, mahirap mag-protest kasi shoot to kill ka pag nanggulo ka. Delikado. So, yun. Let's go to interest groups. We have here the interest groups. Interest group is any group of people, organized or unorganized. So, ibig sabihin, pwedeng formal or informal groups that seeks to influence public policy. These groups have common interests. Parang sa formal organizations lang, di ba? They have common, informal organizations, I should say. So, they have common interests or common concerns. Interest groups exist because they believe that formal representatives cannot represent them. They cannot represent their constituents on all issues that interest them. So, dahil sa hindi daw kaya lahat ng mga representative natin, mga congressman natin, i-represent yung mga concerns ng mga tao sa nasasakupan nila, nagkaroon ng mga interest groups. Dahil doon, they form these groups. Okay? So, some examples would be gender groups. For example, LGBTQ, mga ganun. So, NGOs, non-government organizations, mga civil society organizations, business groups, mga clubs na yan. So, Lions Club, di ba? So, these are all interest groups, including people's organizations and voluntary organizations. Question: what do they do to influence public policy? Nakikita nyo naman eh. They do what? They do lobbying. Parang sa mga citizens kanina. So, lobbying is not loving. Hindi pagmamahal yun Lobbying. Lobbying. Lobbying is an attempt to influence the decisions of a government or policymakers. It includes letter writing, phone calls, raise money. Pwede silang tumawag kahit anong oras. Contribute money. Gob, ito yung magbibigay ako para sa kumpanya mo. Kampanya mo. Diba? Parang mga ganun. Mga ganun sila yung mga action movie na papanood. Mga senaryo. Mga interest groups, mga mahiyaman, mga grupo ng mga negosyante. See? They can testify, educate, and inform the public. These are public groups naman. And most of the time, they engage in public debate. So that is interest groups. Let's go to the political parties. When it comes to political parties, these are voluntary association of individuals who have certain principles or policies. So that supports certain leaders as electoral candidates. So syempre, pag mga political parties, may mga kanya-kanyang kandidato yan. So they support each other, their leaders, and yun. So there, yung mga examples, nandiyan na, nakikita nyo. In our country, meron tayong tatlong types of political parties. Meron major, minor, and regional or provincial parties. Mga major parties natin is mga PDP, Laban, yung PDP Laban, Liberal Party, Nationalist Party, Nationalist Coalition, or NPC, Nationalist People's Coalition, or NPC, what else? And the Lakas CND Party. Ang minor parties naman is mga ACT sa CIS, Bayan Muna, Ako Budoy, hindi, Ako Bicol Party, so, Ako Herme, ayan, so, ano pa, yung mga One Pacman, One Pacquiao, One Pacquiao. Okay, so, yun yung mga sample minor parties natin. Maraming mga political parties actually. There are 4 regional or provincial parties. Merong mga from Luzon to Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, ha? Merong mga 110 political parties. And meron ding meron pang mga 10 na unregistered political parties like Communist Party of the Philippines and Koalisyong Katoliko Kristiyano or KKK. See? So, sa dami ng mga political parties, saan tayo pupuntang, saan tayo makikiparty. Okay? Siyempre, dito sa La Union. Sa La Union, of course, meron din. Ang meron sa La Union is the Bileg ti La Union Party List. Sa Ilocos Sur naman, merong Bileg ti Ilocano. Diba? As of 2019 yan. Napakadaming party list na pwede nating makita, which is can influence sa mga public policies namin. But how do these political parties influence public policy? Ayun, they shape public opinion. In result, kapag tawag doon, nakondisyon na yung mind mo sa mga programa nila o kaya yung mga advertisement nila, in result, you will choose their representatives. Kapag nanalo yung mga representatives nila, nanalo sila, in that case, they can be directly influence public policy. Bakit? Kasi yung mga kandidato nila is kasama nila sa partido. So, ganun. May mga parang grupo sa mga kongreso. So, this is very important to consider. Let's go to media. Okay, so media has an important function in shaping public policy. But how? What is that function? How they serve? They serve as the watchdog of the government. They provide check and balances on the 3 branches of the government. Okay, check and balances kasi they parang nakikita nila lahat, di ba? So kahit mga unconstitutional o mga frauds, mga ganun. So unethical conducts, they serve as the watchdog of the government. The moment when public was informed about the situation by the media, of course, they can influence the public opinion. Interest groups will arise. Siyempre, pag nalaman ng mga interest groups, they will arise. Political parties, of course, will pursue to influence their representatives in making public policies. That's how media helps in building ideas for policymakers and other interest groups to resolve a certain issues or problems in the society. So, this ends the lesson 3. And for your learning activity, here it is. Here it is. Okay? So, as an individual citizen, how will you influence your leaders or local officials to pay attention to the problem you are addressing? Explain in 5 sentences only. Napakaliit. 5 sentences. Dapat yan, 10 sentences or 20 sentences. Pero sige, 5 sentences lang para mas brief, mas substantive. Okay? Make sure na yung mga sagot ninyo is kumalbit kuma. Diba? 20 points yan eh. Okay? So, let's proceed to this lesson 4 para matapos na tayo. Medyo mahaba-haba to. Mga 18 slides lang naman. So, let's go. Historical and structural contents of public policy. So, for historical content, let us take a look on some of the experts and their views on public policies. Since you are a public ed student, I hope you are familiar with Woodrow Wilson. Tama ba? Kilala niyo ba siya? Baka hindi. Dapat kilala niyo kasi public ed kayo. Okay? Siya yung gumawa ng ilaw. No, kaya naman. Okay, tawa ka naman. Tawa ako dito eh. Okay, so si Woodrow Wilson is considered as a father of public administration. Okay, so he was formally recognized public administration in 1887 in an article entitled The Study of Administration. Napag-aralan niyo to sa intro nyo. Intro to PubAd. And according to him, sabi niya, ang public policy daw is about government plans, government instructions, decisions, and symbolic systems. Sabi pa niya, ang mga actors ng public policy is the what? Citizens. Citizens, what? Citizens representatives. Okay, ito yung mga congressmen, sanggunians, and other elected officials. Kasama na ang mga expert and scholars. That is according to Woodrow Wilson. On the other hand, okay, so wala na ako ng boses. Sabi naman ni Lastwell and Kaplan, ito, so sabi niya, public policy daw is a projected programs. In other words, before policy will be made, programs are already projected and formulated in response to the needs of the public. Sabi pa niya, program can be a public policy but not all policies are programs. What does it mean? Most policies kasi is may mga kaakibat na programa and proyekto para sa publiko. Pero hindi lahat ng policy is may kasamang programa. Say for example, di ba, napag-usapan natin ang mga types of public policies. One of it is the regulatory policies, right? Since restrictions ang focus ito, pag sinabi ko sa yung bawal ang jaywalking, so what program can be formulated? Tingin mo, meron ba? Sir, edi magpalagay ng pedestrian lane o kaya overpass. Mabilis, over. Question, is it a program yung pedestrian lane or an overpass? Hindi, di ba? Ano yun? It is a project. You should know the difference between a program and a project, okay? So in other words, not all policies do have programs. Some are just a policy or a rule. So purely restrictions, purely limitations. Okay? Bawal manigarilyo dito. So parang yung mga ganung bagay na So, pure na batas, pure na policy. Some policies have different programs. Paano? Pag sinabi ko sa yung kunyari, isang policy, di ba? May iba't ibang programa. For, what if, sinabi ko sa'yo, bawal kumain habang nanonood ka nito. Kumakain ka ba? Do I need to create a program para matulungan kitang wag kumain habang nanonood? O kaya wag naglalaro habang nanonood? O kaya wag natutulog? So, para lang maging focus. So, my point is that programs are created to help the implementation of a certain policy. But once meron kang narinig na program of the government, always remember that it has a public policy. Also, according to Laswell and Kaplan, public policies are instructions. So, parang ako, bibigay ko ng mga instruction. That is a public policy daw, according to these two experts. Kaso nga lang, yung mga public policy or mga instruction na sinasabi ko sa inyo is yung iba, hindi nagbabasa. Sabi ko, sir, saan ilalagay po yung, sabi ng iba, saan ipapasa yung output, sir? Sabi ko naman, pakibasa po ang instruction sa GC. Sabihin, hindi tayo nagbabasa. Okay? So, yan. Sabi niya, public policies are instructions, decisions, laws, regulations, and symbolic systems. So, palatin natin narinig yan. Symbolic systems in the sense that nakakita ka ng road signs. So, pag may nakita ng road signs, ay public policy yan. O kaya may nakita kang bawal umihi dito. O bawal manigarilyo dito. Ay public policy yan. Diba? So, sa mga nakapaskil pa lang, alam mo na yun na public policy yan. So, yan ang konsepto ng dalawa. Punta tayo kay Thomas Dye. Sabi naman ni Thomas Dye, public policy is whatever governments choose to do or not to do. So, it is their choice. Diba? The government choice. Either to do it or not to do it. So, para yung ano yung gusto at hindi gusto nilang gawin. Nasa government pa rin ang decision, right? So, ano yung nagawa? According to Dye, focuses on government action and inaction. Ano yung nagawa at ano yung hindi nila nagawa. See? Both sides are being evaluated and this results to his notion na behavioralism. Ang public policy daw is resulta ng political behavior ng mga gobyerno yan. Okay? So pag sinabi mong behavioralism kasi is also referred to political behavior. As a politician, anong mga behavior ang meron ka? So, ganon. In that case, the government decides what public policies to be made based on its political behavior. So, sabi naman ni Stone, public policy daw is a relationship between governmental organs and their environment. He used this formula to determine how public policies are made. Yung P is equal to F, close and open, multiplied by 9, GE. Ano yung mga ano yung mga acronyms niya? Public policy, functions, government, living or environment. Ayun. So titignan mo, yung P is public policy, right? So, kapag daw pinagsama-sama mo ang government functions and its living environment, magkakaroon ka ng public policy. That is according to Stone. So, based on the studies naman tayo, public policy started in UP Institute of Public Administration. Since what? Since 1970. Sa US, nagsimula noong 1950. So, sa Pilipinas, nasimulan nito noong 1970 in the UP Institute of Public Administration. Ang tawag nila ngayon is UP NCPAG na ngayon. So, UP NCPAG, University of the Philippines, ano yung NCPAG? National College of Public Administration and Governance. Okay? So, ano ba? Okay. Ayan. NCPAG na ang tawag ngayon. Na-develop ang different approaches and models like institutional, elite, and incremental. Okay? So, pinag-usapan natin yan sa mga theories and models natin, right? Na-discuss na natin ito. So, let's go to the next one. Institutional built-in systems of public policy. Here are some built-in systems of NEDA, NEDA, NSC, LEDA, and MMDA. Among these agencies, only NEDA, take note, only NEDA have a more defined and extensive mandate and more permanent structure in terms of policy making. Bakit? Kasi they are the planning agency of the government. Okay? So, based on their plans ng mga ginagawa nila, dito nagkakreate ng public policy. So, lahat ng public policy is based or dapat merong context. Ano ba yun? Based sa mga MTDP, Medium Term Philippine Development Plan. Ayun. So, sila yung mga gumagawa nito, kaya sila ang may more defined and extensive mandate and more permanent structure in terms of policy making. Okay. So, we have here the policy stream according to the perspective of the executive branch. We have agenda setting, from policy formulation, policy legitimation, implementation, and evaluation. Later on, sa mga next modules natin, iisa-isay natin itong mga to. Pero let's discuss again. So, sa agenda setting daw, hindi yan mawawala yung issues na pinag-uusapan natin. So, kailangan mo daw i-consider yung performance, new developments. Ayan. Hindi ko nagagamit yung pen ko. Ayan. So, ay red din. Ay laser na lang. So, ayan. Performance, new development, issues, and in local, in international economy. So, kailangan makita mo kung ano talaga yung problema. Makita mo kung ano talaga yung naging performance ng economy or either any industry. Okay? Para lang magkaroon ka ng policy agenda. Policy formulation naman talks about policy researches and analysis. Darating, papasok din yung mga policy analysis kasi magpo-formulate ka na ng mga policies, di ba? Marami ka nang kailangan i-consider yan. Kanina, problema lang. Ngayon, hindi na. So, there are some factors that you need to consider. Pinag-usapan yan sa policy analysis. Kaya, Ma'am Mafel. So, it serves as foundations in this process. Policy legitimation, of course, the term legitimation. Legitimate, authorize. Okay? So, sabi ko kanina, through MTPDP. And so on. So, nilegitimize yan through, based from these two. Okay? The MTPDP and sa implementation naman, based pa rin sa dito, MTPDP. Policy evaluation naman is, siyempre, evaluation, di ba? Merong monitoring, merong feedback mechanism, which is done by the NEDA. Okay? National Economic and Development Authority. So, what's next? Stages of public policy. Okay? Parang with regards to these stages, it is almost the same with the policy streams. Naidagdag lang ang problem identifications. Okay, so i-discuss natin lahat yan isa-isa after the parang finals na yun. Module 3 and 4. Problem identification and agenda setting, pinag-uusapan dyan is issues and problems. So formulation, policy proposals are created. Siyempre, lahat ng mga recommendations ng mga policymakers will be formulated into a policy. And then, it will be adopted by the legislative or the Congress to legitimize this kind of policies. And then, it will be implemented by the executive, application of authorized policy, and then it will be evaluated through its effectiveness. So, that's it for lesson 3 and 4. Sa wakas, natapos din yung discussion natin. Tuloy-tuloy. So, for your learning activity, mga activities ninyo for this is this. Explain this statement. Nako. Napakaliit. Pero I know na kayang-kaya niyo yan. Kasi madami din kayong mga activities pang ginagawa. Okay, so explain this statement. A program can be public policy but not all policies are programs. So, discuss natin kanina yan. Pero I hope na meron kayong ibang mga insights and I will read all of it. Discuss it in 5 sentences only. Very brief lang ha. Pero dapat yung hindi ibig sabihin 5 sentences lang is napakaliit lang ng sentence. Dapat habaan nyo naman. Parang bigyan nyo ng parang diin yung justification niyo, yung explanation niyo. Okay? That's it for our module 1. Congratulations, you made it to the top. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. For your concerns, just call me. Just message me in my messenger or either text message. Sinend ko naman sa inyo yung mga phone number ko. Okay, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down your name as instructed in your GC, okay? Done, and then yung name niyo, lagay niyo na rin yung section niyo para hindi mahirap mag-identify ng section. Or saan ba itong mga section ko? Baka naman second year, di ba, nanonood. O kaya grade 3, iba-iba yung nanonood. Okay, ilagay niyo lang yung section niyo para hindi ako mahirapan maghanap. Okay? All done. God bless.